The world keeps getting better when women make it a habit to fix each other's crowns and exclusively focus on picking up the broken pieces in the lives of other women. With great passion for women, children, and marriages, your hosts, Ntwatwa Evelyn, bring you the irresistible Woman to Woman reality talk show. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more about this eventful and exciting show.
Hello and welcome to Woman reality talk show, where we have a heart-to-heart embracing womanhood. My name is Evelyn Ntwatwa. Today we are having a conversation on a topic that is a bit sensitive, but something that also most of us may not really be so comfortable talking about, but rather whisper about it. And with me is Sheila. Sheila is going to share with us about miscarriages, neonatal death, what it means, and a bit of her journey of miscarriage and how she journeyed and the whole process of waiting for a breakthrough. Okay. Yeah, but allow me read this. Research tells us that miscarriages are the most common complications in early pregnancy, occurring between 10 to 40% in all pregnancies. So when I read this, I realized that even in our daily lives, I realized that most of the people, personally, I relate with or that I associate with, especially as the women, you realize that a big number of us has gone through this. But it's not so easy for us to keep talking about it. Yes. So today, we want to dig more and expand about miscarriages. You could have probably seen someone, or as you as a person has experienced it, or someone has gone through it. So you know what we are talking about. Please keep watching us. Sheila, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
It's a pleasure to have you.
I'm happy to be here.
I know.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself to our viewers, and then we'll get started.
Thank you. My name is SHEILA LUBANGAKENE. I'm a mother of 3 children, 3 boys, married to 1 man. And I have had a very, it hasn't been a smooth journey, even with the 3 children. And my journey with miscarriages was experienced after I had my 2 boys. And then I tried for the 3rd child. But what happened when I tried for the 3rd child was that initially I struggled to get the 3rd child. So when I visited a gyne, I was told, he explained to me and educated me about a condition called secondary infertility. Secondary infertility happens when you have previously had children without any challenges. And then you struggle
again to have another one.
Conceive. So that was the very first time I was hearing about secondary infertility, and he advised that for it to be ruled out, my partner and I both had to go through some fertility tests to just rule out whether that could be the problem or
something else.
To intervene.
Yeah.
So right before we went for the tests, there are certain conditions that have to happen. You either have to have it before your monthly menses or after. But then my husband still went ahead and had tests done. It's called a sperm viability test to just rule out the. But what I remember most about that was the conversation we had before that test was done. For men, it's usually different because they have had children before. It's very hard to convince them that
that there is a possibility that we may not, or you.
There's a possibility that there's a complication somewhere. So it had to take me have a conversation with the gynecologist on him to broach the subject to my husband, because it was just a difficult conversation.
To have.
There were too many questions I was being asked which needed to be answered by
the doctor.
So that was ruled out. He went through the tests and it was ruled out. And then I had to go through my own tests. But somehow that's when I discovered that I was expecting. But that pregnancy didn't really last. It took about almost I think 6 weeks. and then I lost it.
Oh.
Yeah, so when I lost it, it was a very hard period because this had been a long wait, and
Yeah.
then you're very sure you are able to
How
conceive.
long had you waited after the other?
I think I'd waited for, I think it was close to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So immediately I still tried to conceive,
Tried.
and then took another longer period of time, but it eventually happened, and then it creates a kind of anxiety
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Even when you test and you see a positive result, you really have reservations on whether you should share this information
Oh
with your very
no.
close family members. Because you ask yourself, is it too soon?
Yeah, to
When is
share
it too
because you're
soon?
not sure of
Yes. When is it safe to share this
to share it.
information? Should I share it when I've started showing?
Showing
When the
or
pregnancy is visible? Or so I became guarded, and I agreed with my husband that let's not share this until we are sure I'm past maybe the third trimester.
I'm sorry to cut you because
Yes.
that reminds me of the times when I would share that I'm expecting. The moment you share you're expecting, people start counting you.
Exactly.
So when that time comes and then they're not seeing anything, they'll be like, "Oh, we thought your stomach would be, you know." So yeah, I get
There are
it.
too many questions that you need to answer, and then also if you're in a space where probably you're around people, you have maybe a business or you work, of course people will get to know that you are expecting.
You're expecting.
The fact that you're given bed rest and you're told to be off work
Yeah.
after that incident, you have to explain to
Why
closest
you've not been
supervisor,
coming.
and then it becomes such a complicated thing.
Yeah.
And then for cases where you were already hopeful that this is a breakthrough and now we can be happy and celebrate, it just crushes you and it takes you back. So it affected me emotionally, physically, and then I became too anxious.
For that second one,
yes, even while I was expecting and I knew now this is it, I kept looking out for signs because you look out for signs of spotting, like the red flags that could happen in the early months of the early weeks of the pregnancy. So for any kind of something different, you're scared.
You're scared, yeah.
You're scared. You ask the doctor a lot of questions that you should avoid certain things, and then you want to really carry it very, very carefully, and then something else goes wrong. Yeah, so the second miscarriage also happened.
Oh,
and
that was after what period
this should have been,
of
I think,
pregnancy?
after 1 year after the previous one.
Okay, no, like when you
They
carried
were
that
early. Mine were really happening in the early weeks.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think this was week 10.
Oh,
Yeah, this was week 10, and of course, again, it was crashing.
true.
And then I started asking and doubting myself,
Yes.
like, am I really going to be a mother like to a third child?
Yes.
Then you look
Even
back and
start
ask yourself so
reflecting
many
back to what the
questions.
doctor suggested
Yes,
and
yes. You ask yourself so many questions when you go for the scan, even when it happens. The radiographer, the one who does the scan, will keep saying he doesn't see anything in the uterus because it has. And then he keeps asking you, are you sure you are this number of weeks? Like they start interrogating you.
Yes. Yet
And
by the
then
time you came to the hospital, you're
yes,
sure,
you
I
are very
mean.
sure. You even had probably a scan, although it's too early to do scans
Yeah.
at some of those weeks. But they question you like you're actually telling a lie. So that's one thing I also always echo out when I'm speaking about my story. The medical people really have to be conscious and sensitive about how they treat expectant mothers, because you're dealing with a loss.
A loss, yes,
You're very
yes.
traumatized. You're dealing with a loss. You're in pain. You're asking yourself a lot of questions,
Yeah.
and then this radiographer is also asking you
Questions.
interrogating you,
Yeah.
basically. Yes. So it's something that needs to change, especially in the health sector. They need to do better on it. Yeah. So the second miscarriage happened. I had to take I think a week off work. You need bed rest.
You need bed rest.
Yeah, you need bed rest. And I got to ask the doctor a lot of questions. They don't usually have answers.
I know, right? And I don't know why. Okay.
They
They are
don't
not.
have answers about the early weeks of pregnancy. Usually they say it's chromosomal.
Yeah.
Maybe there was an abnormality with the child. Maybe the child wasn't forming well. And then they'll ask you whether you took medication. Probably you had a cold, or you took medication that was
or you carried
prescribed.
heavy things, or
Yes. Was it prescribed? Did you go for a long journey? Did you sit maybe on a motorbike? Those kind of things. The investigations they
and then sometimes even when you're too sensitive about the things because after losing the first one, you tend to be a bit more sensitive.
Yes.
Of like, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that, because you're scared anytime.
Yes.
Anything can happen.
That's
So
true.
yeah.
Yes. So that kind of questioning actually just drains you.
True.
You're already battling your own emotions, and then you're being asked a lot of questions. Then there's also your partner.
I know.
Your partner also is grieving because they were expecting, they were happy about the news that they received earlier in the week, earlier during the period, and then they get crushed.
So they're wondering what. Yeah.
Yes, so they are also wondering what is it wrong you're doing? Did you do some, something that you shouldn't have done, and all those things. So it requires a support system.
A support system.
It requires a support system. Usually, close family does not understand. They will push it away and say you're going to have another child.
Yeah.
You even already have children. You should actually appreciate that this is not like your last chance.
Your last.
Yes. So they just kind of push it off, and they expect you to move on. But they don't realize that you're actually dealing with a lot.
A lot.
Emotionally,
Yeah.
the expectations you had, and
because it does really affect emotionally and then psychologically. Yeah.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah, so that's my story. But eventually I was able to conceive.
To conceive again.
And yes, I had a third child. But I remember how careful I was.
I can imagine.
There's just so much anxiety that you don't even realize. Then you're always probably waiting, any kind of spotting that you notice. You're calling your gyne, you're going to the hospital more times than you
should.
You should. So it's just something I think that we need to be cautious about. But I think everything is a lesson.
It's a lesson,
Most
yeah.
of these
Whatever you go through is a lesson. It teaches you something.
Yes, it teaches you how to handle yourself with grace.
Yeah.
How to understand when probably a colleague tells you that I suffered a miscarriage. How to work with them and how to just be there and support those people who also go through something.
So in our earlier conversation, we had talked about neonatal death and then miscarriages. What is the difference between, because I feel like sometimes we may not tell the difference, or our viewers would love to know. So we hear people talk about neonatal and then miscarriage. Isn't it the same thing, because they are all losses? What is the difference?
Miscarriages medically are described as those losses of a pregnancy that happen before 24 weeks.
Oh.
So if you're carrying a baby and you have not yet reached the 24-week period, and then you lose that child, it's called a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Or there's another word they use, incomplete abortion. That's
Yes.
what medically they use.
Yes.
But if you pass the 24 weeks and then the child dies while in the stomach, that's a stillbirth. Post 24 weeks up to 40 weeks. Then neonatal death is a death that occurs when the child has actually come.
Yeah.
During it's usually the first.
After you have given birth and still during the early.
Yes.
The
early days of the child.
Okay.
Yeah. So that means the child came, you held the child, or if the child was in a NICU, the neonatal ICU, and didn't make it through, neonatal death.
Okay. So in your own view, what do you think, or what do you feel as women should really know about miscarriages? Because I feel like there is a lot of information out there, and then just like you said, sometimes the emotions tend to make us feel a certain way. You blame yourself, you blame other people, you think that maybe God doesn't care about you. What do you think we should know?
First, I think women need to be aware of the warning signs, the early warning signs of miscarriage. And I think, I'm not too sure these things are told to us during our antenatal visits.
We rarely.
The antenatal visits mainly focus on the pregnancy, how your pressure is, your cholesterol, your sugar levels, and all those other things we check, especially regarding non-communicable diseases.
Yeah.
And then also, of course, they also test the heartbeat of the child. They ask you whether you're going through certain stages, but they rarely talk about expectations in case of that pregnancy loss. Yeah. So usually it's a shock to many mothers.
To many of us, yeah.
Most of us, it takes us by shock. The fact that the baby didn't come, most people believe there is no emotional attachment at all, which is wrong.
Yeah.
By the time you do that test and you find out that you're expecting, there is already an attachment to your child.
True.
Because this is a child.
Actually, the moment you get the news, the moment she's
this is a child that's growing inside. The people already have names planned for their children, and there is already an attachment. You are looking forward. You are expecting to have this baby. So when it happens, first of all, it comes as a shock.
Yeah.
Then there's denial. Then by the time most people accept, that's when now the emotions are overriding. There's a meltdown. You don't know who to talk to. The partner is not supportive.
Yeah, in most cases, or sometimes, yeah.
Yes, actually, their partners. There is a person I was working with once who told me the partner told her, "Why do your womb is a grave?
Oh,
Like, why do you have to keep losing children all the time?"
Wow.
So the words that are
insensitivity.
said, the words that are said, and then you just need to have a support system.
Yeah, true.
Encourage women, have that person you trust
that you can share with.
And share with. It might be somebody older than you. I usually encourage a singer, an auntie, a mom.
Someone who has even probably gone through this same.
Yes, the people who are so wise, they have a lot of wisdom. They are able to encourage. And hold your hand. Then also, if you can have somebody who is also a mother, perhaps there are people who who have been through those journeys. They will actually reveal things that they went through that are bigger than you.
Are bigger than I know.
Yeah.
Also, like just like we say that when miscarriages happen, I have personally had a journey of miscarriages that time may not really allow us, but probably someday I'll have to share in detail of what really happened. There is how we are not embracing it. There's how we do not accept it. What is your view on that as women? How should we embrace that? I don't know how I can call it, like that journey as a woman, like as you're going through stages of your life, as you're growing, that things can happen. How best can we embrace these things so that even when it's time for us to, talk about it, it can be that easy that I can find it and I'm like, oh, meanwhile, yeah, this happened. And then you will also welcome it and embrace it the way I have, put it out, not in the way of like, oh, you could be having a problem. How?
Now, the embracing bit is really hard. I think it's like grief. I tell people grief you'll never get used to grief.
Okay.
You never get used to loss. So it's the same with miscarriages.
Yeah.
First of all, having a child and this kind of conversation is usually taboo, even issues to do with infertility.
Because that is what we've been told.
They're considered taboo because even the mere fact on how,
how the child comes about.
The reproduction process happens. It is so taboo, it's so private, it can only be discussed in hushed tones. Yeah, it is not something easy. So embracing it is it takes a protracted process. It's very hard to accept a loss. The same way it's very hard to accept even a loss of a loved one.
Yeah. So
accepting a loss of a child and feeling, first of all, you feel very inadequate. You keep thinking, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. Looks like I don't think I'll be able to be blessed with this child. There are so many things that go on. The thing about this book, Still a Mom, is one thing I'm grateful about it is the feedback that I received after writing the book.
Yeah.
When I was writing the book, I interviewed quite a number of women. Then when I got to the men, they were a bit guarded on their responses. I would only get one sentence answers from them. They wouldn't really go deep in explaining about their different fertility challenges. But as soon as I released this book and they also read it, first of all, they were curious to know what I'd written in the book and the different reviews that they were seeing on social media. Very many of them came out and actually told me their entire challenges. They had walked the journeys, trying to support their wives, trying to be there and present. The men. It was so heartwarming to have them talk about their
Yet in
struggles.
the beginning, they were not so...
Exactly. Some of them opened up about the financial struggles they have had to deal with, including selling of land, selling of houses, and selling of different assets, so that they are able to handle the assisted reproductive part, especially for IVF. And it takes a toll. It actually takes a toll on them. It takes a toll on the marriage. And sometimes marriages actually fail because of that very hard strain on the finances. And I was very glad about the impact this book was creating. People were starting to converse and open up and realize that you cannot handle this battle alone, but it's a shared kind of space and problem that needs to be talked about without holding back or fearing. So I'm happy that it starts conversations that are very, very important, especially in conversations on marriage and looking for children.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. So now, I know, like, as a writer, sometimes when you're writing, there are things that you can relate with. Okay, let me say there are parts when you're writing you relate with, or that can make you feel a certain way. You're like, this is deep from my heart or from what I have experienced. Is there a part for you or a page where that stands out for you, or that is best for you?
Yes. Yes, there's a page in the book, page 42. This is where Akeo loses the child, one of the very many pregnancies that she lost. But this was a child she had lost. It was a neonatal death at 5 days old. So,
can I read?
Yes, you can read.
I'm here. It says, how could this happen? How could this have happened? What caused it? What did I do to cause it? There must have been one pivotal moment of failure. My failure, how we blame ourselves. When was it? What was it that I could have done and didn't do? Wow, the questions.
Yes, the questions.
As the weeks and months went by, special occasions like our anniversary and Hannah's birthday came and went, each with its own special pain. The day she died was as fresh as morning dew. It hurts to live after your child has died. It just does. It can hurt to walk on the beach, or watch a movie. It hurts to sing in the bathroom, to wash clothes. Food tastes stale. Colors have no meaning. Music is boring, and memories are painful. You look at something you'd otherwise find beautiful, the sun at dawn. Grief is so lonely this way. Wow, I feel it. I feel it. I think this must have been one of the parts that really touched me.
Yeah, it actually touches very deep in the heart. Even you who wasn't.
So when you were writing that part, how did you feel? Like,
yeah, the thing about writing is that you have to create a kind of emotion. You don't have to explain everything. Good writing involves writing about the feeling.
Yeah, the feeling.
So if you can get that emotion out of your reader, then it makes them think out of the book. And that was the intention for writing this book.
So does that make you put yourself in that position as you write, as a writer?
Yes, it puts myself in the position, because even when I handed it over to the editor explained to me that way. She told me, as an editor, I am your best reader. So I need to read this book and feel your words and understand the emotion in the book. Because first of all, it's a a very, very emotional book. It's
Yeah.
intense. Because here you're talking about feelings. Here you're talking about
that are actually happening in
somebody's
reality.
journey. But how are you going to make those words
Yes.
bring out the emotion
The emotions.
of what this person is going through?
So
some of these things are very hard to explain when you haven't walked this journey. And I thought the best way was to put it in the book.
Put it in writing.
To put it in writing and just bring out that empathy. The empathy.
So that is amazing. As a writer, what are you most grateful for, like in general?
In general, I'm happy when I write a story, because I usually write stories of people. I'm happy when I write a story and people are happy, especially when I write a story. For example, I've written stories about parents. I could ask you to write me a paragraph about when I think about my mother. And it is very beautiful things that people will say about their mothers. When I think about my father. So those stories that I've written about people's parents have actually warmed their hearts. Their parents and children who are not expressive. But when those stories are written about their parents, like their parents will come out and they're all happy, and that gives me a lot of joy. When you bring out that aspect of emotion and love.
And the feeling of
and
success.
The feeling of... then also the part about those who have lost their parents. It's very beautiful reading about a loved one who is no longer there, and the thoughts that people had about their parents. There are those, of course, who write with regret about the things they should have done for their parents, but they were not able to do for them. Then there are those who have grown up with abandonment because probably their mother died while giving birth to them. They grow up with guilt. They think because they were brought to life, their mother had to pass on. So they grow up with that guilt of, I killed my mother. So when you're able to open up to somebody and the person opens up to you about their stories and you write out their stories, I take that as therapy. Like I'm providing therapy to somebody, and then people get to appreciate.
Wow.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So I am very sure someone out there would like to have this book. Where can they find it?
Okay. Still a Mom is available at Aristoc. Aristoc in all their different stores. They have quite many stores around Kampala. Then also at Jumia, if you'd like it delivered to where you are. Then an organization called Vessel Is Me. It's an NGO that has this book.
So it's Jumia, Vessel Is Me, and then Aristoc. So is there a specific contact? Like maybe, I feel like, do you have contacts here? Because sometimes when readers read, they would want to get in touch with the person who wrote. So is there
a specific contact? No, unless we provide it probably on the screen.
I think we can.
It's okay. I can provide it on the screen. Then I'll also provide the one of Vessel Is Me for easier access.
Connection.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can give us the number.
Okay. The number is 0752 600 604. 0752 600 604.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So it was really, really nice meeting you, Sheila, and having you on the show. And I would encourage every woman out there, and man or wife or mother or anyone that is in the waiting or is in the process or is believing God for children. Still a Mom is a book for you. Please endeavor to find it and you will be blessed. Sheila, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I am so grateful to have you today. And I hope, and it's my prayer, that this book will continue to inspire many women out there. Maybe something I didn't ask. Do you have plans of writing for us another book?
Yes, of course. I'm working on the next book.
Wow, thank you so much. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave us a comment. Until next time, bye-bye.
Woman to Woman reality talk show. Feel free to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more about this eventful and exciting show.